Rankings.
Yes, that's right. You are in the right place. This is the TPO Ranking Show. My name is Cody Shorter, and this is round 25 of the TPO Ranking Show, a show all about Australian football through the lens of TPO rankings. You can think of it like the FIFA World Rankings, but for 362 Australian football clubs. So some pretty good stuff. Now, I am joined by a man who loves a pivot table, who will never be caught dead using a Google Sheet, a man we couldn't do without, Jake Shorter. Jake, how are you going tonight?
Cody, I'm good. But who the bloody hell uses Google Sheets anyway? What a waste of time
I
that
do.
is, eh?
I use Google Sheets pretty much every day, Jake.
Sorry, Google.
But if the TPO rankings are run off Google Sheet, well, it just couldn't be done, could it, Jake?
No
Excel.
chance.
It's all about the Excel. Jake loves the Excel. Okay.
Give me Microsoft any day.
Yep, there it is, folks. Now tonight, Jake, what are we talking about tonight in the middle of the show?
Yeah, well, so we are right bang in the middle of FFA Cup, so normally that's what we would focus on. But given it's being played on Tuesday this week, we thought by the time this comes out, it'll have been done. So what's the point of that? So we're going to do a bit of a look at the MPLs around the country. One of them just finished its final round and goes into finals in the next week or two. And the rest are all getting very, very close. So we'd have a look at who is still in the running for the premierships.
That sounds good to me, Jake. But first, we've got a recap of last week's four FFA Cup games. We'll jump right in. Let's not waste any time. So the first game here, we had Rockdale City Suns and Sydney FC. The TPO ranking system predicted a 3-0 Sydney FC win. The supporters 60% voted for Sydney, and the result was 4-2 Sydney. So no real change for Sydney. They were such heavy favourites, so they only picked up a few little points there. And the same for Rockdale, they didn't lose too many points. All A-League clubs picked up 3 TPO points, Jake, because of the interstate adjustments, which we've explained in detail on another show, so we won't go into that right now. I'll just run through them all, Jake, and then you can sort of jump in, take the lead in the next section. So Heidelberg, Charlestown City Blues. Now, we predicted, TPO rankings predicted a Heidelberg win. 80% of the TPO supporters on Instagram stories voted for Heidelberg, and the result, as you all should be aware, was Heidelberg 2-1. We all thought it might have been a little bit more one-sided than that, and it certainly looked to be that way in the earlier stages of the match, but yeah, 2-1 to Charlestown's credit. So yeah, Jake, you've noted here, no real change because Heidelberg were, same as the last game, Heidelberg were big favourites here, were the favourites, and only won by a single goal. And let's go to Cairns and Armidale. So this is a bit of an exciting one. So the TPO rankings system actually predicted a draw, whereas the supporters, 69% of you guys went for Cairns. The result, as you should know, 4-0 Cairns after that early red card to Armidale. So Cairns up 3 places to 69th, and all Queensland clubs pick up 4 TPO points. They can all thank Cairns for that one. And Armidale for a huge 19 places to 90th. Because a lot of the clubs around them were so close on TPO points, they fell a long way. And all Western Australian clubs also lost 8 TPO points. So all the other clubs will be kicking Armidale. And Gwelup lost 2 the week before. So I don't think they lost as many points because they were expected to lose. But yeah. And then in the last game, we had Adelaide and Central Coast Mariners. TPO rankings backed Adelaide United. Supporters 67 also went Adelaide. Result 3-0 Adelaide. So no change in the rankings. Adelaide are ranked 4th and Central Coast still down in 13th. So out of those 4 games, we had TPO, we got 3 out of 4. And the supporters, you finally beat us. I think this is the first time. 4 out of 4. Well done. Give yourself
first time in a while at least.
At least since the early days. So that takes the supporters to 46 on the running ladder or leaderboard tally. And we're on 51. So still 5 points ahead. But I'm sure we have some games again this week. So, and this is round 25 of the TPO ranking show. We're coming to a close soon. There's not that long to go in the regular season and then finals. So, you better keep getting 4 out of 4 or 5 out of 5, and you'll be leading us in no time. Jake, any other movements in the rankings you want to point out?
I'll update based on not just those FFA Cup games, but also the weekend just gone. And a couple of the bigger movements near the top of the table. Heidelberg, they didn't actually change position in the rankings, but they lost a lot of TPO points in a 2-0 surprise loss to Hume City. And the loss of points puts them just very slightly ahead of Wellington, still in the rankings. So any change with the Wellington playing in the FFA Cup this week could see them take that spot above Heidelberg again. And then also after losing to Sydney FC in the FFA Cup through the week, Rockdale City Suns also lost again on the weekend 1-0 to Hukoa, and they've fallen 3 spots in the rankings. They're now down to 23rd. And then looking a little bit further down the rankings, I thought I'd take a look at the top 100. We've got 2 new clubs that have just moved inside the top 100 again. That's Manningham United Blues, who play in the Victorian State League 1 South East, and the other is Cumberland United from the South Australian State League. And then the 2 clubs that were pushed out or dropped out of the top 100 were Rochdale Rovers, who play in the Football Queensland Premier League, and Rydalmere Lions from New South Wales NPL 2.
Cool. All right, let's go to part 2 of the show. As Jake mentioned at the top of the show, we will be touching on sort of the NPLs. Jake, you kick us off and I'll just jump in where necessary or where I think I might be able to provide some value. Again, I'm only working off Google Sheets. You're the one in Excel, so you're the one with
that's why there won't be any value from your side of the screen, but we'll get into it anyway. So what I'm going to do is kind of, the way that I've listed these anyway, the different states are from, we'll start with South Australia because it's the one that just finished, and then we'll go through them based on which is the closest to having the season finished. So we're going to go through all the states, so we might as well do it reasonably quickly. South Australia, as we mentioned, and we've kind of touched on this in some of our other Facebook shows and some of the other bits and pieces, but Campbelltown City have been confirmed as the premiers of the South Australian NPL for the year. They finished after 22 games in their season. They finished 5 points clear of Adelaide City and Metro Stars, who were second and third, and there's Adelaide City Metro Stars separated by goal difference. So Campbelltown City were your kind of club of the season, Cody. You were kind of jumping on them right from the start.
I think round 2 I jumped on that bandwagon, Jake, and then jumped on that bandwagon again later on in the season as they started picking up again. So what a good year they've had. Yes, a very strong sort of top 4 down there. Obviously, Comets in 4th, and they are doing well in the FFA Cup. So again, as we've banged on, Jake, they need another FFA Cup spot, and I hope they get that sooner rather than later.
I'm with you. So we won't spend much time there. We'll maybe touch on that as we figure out the finals dates and all the rest of that. But we'll move on to New South Wales because New South Wales has just the 1 round remaining coming this weekend, and there are still 2 clubs, or only 2 clubs, who are still in the running there for the premiership, and that's Apia Leichhardt Tigers and Sydney Olympic.
Yep.
So those 2 clubs, and this is actually pretty fascinating, Cody, if you look at this. So after 21 games so far played out of the 22, they've both had 14 wins, 3 draws and 4 losses, and they're both on 45 points going into that final game. So having a look at who they're playing, Apia, and I should also say Apia have a much better goal difference. So
much better.
It's in their hands. They play Hukoa Sydney City East on the final day, and Sydney Olympic have the tougher assignment. They play Sydney United 58 on that last day as well. So
who are in 3rd, Jake? So it's going to be a tough one.
So I don't know. I think Apia is probably the favourites there, given they've got the goal difference and the easier draw out of that. But could get exciting. And I had a quick look. I'm pretty sure those games on the final day are on Sunday, and they all kick off at the same time. So
good.
Might be worth following that on.
Definitely.
Hopefully there'll be a live stream of one of those, or maybe some live scores on one of the apps.
Yep.
Next one. Let's go to ACT because they also only have the 1 round left. But in saying that, a couple of the clubs have a game in hand, some catch-up games. There's 2 teams still in the running here, and both of them have a catch-up game left, and it happens to be against each other. So Canberra FC and Canberra Olympic, they each have the 1 final round against another team, and then they'll play each other. And I think the timing of that is actually that catch-up game might be scheduled. It's within the next week, Cody. So that'll be the title decider because Canberra FC are currently 2 points in front of Canberra Olympic. So a draw would favour Canberra FC, but Olympic, if they win it, puts it back within their own destiny. So either club can win if they get the result in that one.
Jake, did you see, I don't know in what minute, but I think it was Canberra Olympic on the weekend, were down 2-0 against Tigers and their game got abandoned.
Yeah, I think it got abandoned just before half-time, so they're going to replay it.
Oh,
from what
Canberra
I read.
FC would be devastated. That would have wrapped it up for sure. So maybe some good fortune. If Olympic turn their season around and win now, that would be that would be pretty crazy.
Yep. All right, let's keep going. We're on a roll here.
And Jake, just before you go to the Northern New
yeah.
South Wales, ACT, as I think I mentioned this on the live stream last night, which you left me to do solo. Thanks a lot. It was actually very fun, Jake. It has some good chats.
Had some guys chatting to you.
Yeah. Now, ACT Premier League 2, NPL 2. So there's a promotion and relegation coming in next year. That's awesome. We love that. Don't know the layout or anything yet, but it's going to be great.
Yep. Good to hear. I think every state should have at least the two leagues, I think, connected, promotion and relegation, if not more. So good to hear. Speaking of, let's go to the state that currently doesn't have promotion and relegation, Northern New South Wales. So 2 rounds left to play here. The points, if you look at the top of the table right now, you've got Edgeworth Eagles out in front on 40 points. Landon Jaffers are in second on 34. So a 6-point gap, 2 games to go. You do the math. And with the goal difference being slightly in Edgeworth's favour, it's basically wrapped up. But mathematically, Landon Jaffers could catch them. But I think this weekend, Cody will probably see that get sewn up for good.
Yep.
I don't know.
Jake, I think Broadmeadow are still in contention. They've got a game in hand, so they could actually go 1 point above Lambton, and then potentially, Edgeworth Eagles have still got at the very least a 5-point gap with 2 games to go. They've got to be favourites.
Exactly. So, anyway, we'll see how that pans out over the next 2 weeks. Maybe if, depending on how results go, that might go down to the last round as well, but it also could be all done and dusted this weekend. Kind of some of these leagues that we're about to touch on now have got a little bit longer, but they're still getting pretty close. So Queensland has 3 rounds left at the moment. There are only 3 clubs still in contention to actually win the premiership, and the finals, the top 4 finals clubs are basically confirmed. I mean, it's not mathematically confirmed, but the premiership is down to, out of Lions FC, Western Pride and Olympic FC. Lions right now would have to be clear favourites. They've got a game in hand on those 2 chasing teams, and they're 3 points clear at the moment. And if you look at the remaining games, I don't think any of those 3 clubs play each other. So they've all, none of them have a crazy or high table or an opponent who sits in the top few clubs in the table. So it'll be, I think, Cody, at least from my point of view, Lions are definitely favourites, and it'll be, as long as they don't slip up against some of the mid or bottom of the table clubs that they should be beating anyway. So it should just be pretty routine. But
and Jake, what a result that would be for Lions' first year in the Queensland NPL, and to go out and win it, which would just be very impressive.
Pretty insane. And
a big club up here, and it's good to see them doing well.
And I'm hoping they get another home draw in the next round of the FFA Cup.
Oh, yeah.
So we can get out and see them tested against some interstate opposition.
Yep.
All right, Victoria, one of the big ones, and 3 rounds left there as well, so they're getting very close. There are still 3 clubs technically that can win the title there. Heidelberg are clear favourites, but they did have that loss that I mentioned before over the weekend to Hume City, which was a bit of a shock. Hume City were down in the relegation zone, so for Heidelberg to lose to them is a big one. So it does kind of open up the premiership race maybe a little, but you look at the numbers, they're 4 points ahead of both Avondale and Bentley Greens and have a game in hand. Yep. So 3 games left, they win that game in hand, it's pretty much over, you'd probably think. But again, you never know until it's all done. So what do you reckon? Avondale, Bentley Greens, any chance?
No. Heidelberg though, slipping up to Hume, not doing that well against Charlestown City Blues in the FFA Cup, maybe. I don't know, Jake. But I mean, Bentley Greens dropping points. They would only be 2 points behind if they picked up that win against Kingston. Maybe Avondale can. If out of Bentley Greens and Avondale, I haven't looked at their home run. Their run home, sorry. But I think I'd be putting my money on Avondale if I had to, in terms of the chasing club. But I think Heidelberg. I mean, look at 4 points clear with 3 games to go, any game in hand.
Interesting.
You got to back Heidelberg to come out premiers there.
Fair enough. And while we're on that one, even though it's a little side note, and by the time people see this, the game will be done. But given Bentley Greens any chance over Wellington Phoenix in the FFA Cup?
I am, Jake. I don't know what Wellington Phoenix look like. I think I said this earlier. If if it was the Wellington Phoenix of last year, I'd actually put them at about 50-50. But I just think Riddan, with Mark Riddan there and the way they've recruited, I reckon he'd have them pretty well drilled. And
Mitch Nichols.
Yeah. Well, you just never know. Oh, Jake, they got a great in. I'm a Newcastle United supporter in the English Premier League. Stephen Taylor. Now, honestly, I don't know what Wellington will throw up. It is early days too for them. So maybe I tell you what, I would love Bentley Greens to absolutely roll Wellington Phoenix.
The interesting thing is, and this is like it's not an FFA Cup show, but when I did the numbers on this one for my own tips and ran the algorithm, Bentley Greens are ranked one spot below Phoenix on the rankings.
Yep.
But being at home and having that advantage, they're actually given a slightly higher, like very, very slightly higher probability of winning.
There you go.
So there you go. Let's keep going, hey. We've only got two states left, or MPLs left. Western Australia, 3 games remaining there as well. Mathematically, there are still 5 clubs in the running here. Perth Glory Youth Team are the favourites at the top at the moment. They've got a 4-point gap. But given there's 5 teams still in this, it's probably the most open of all of the MPLs at this stage of the season. So Perth Glory out on 50 points. Behind them, you've got Perth on 46, Coburn City 44, Inglewood 43, and Bayswater 42. So Bayswater, for them to win it, it'd be incredible odds. They'd have to win all their games and assume that the clubs above them all basically lose as well. Perth Glory probably they are the favourites, but, any one of those 4 clubs chasing them has the ability and have shown the form at certain parts of the season to string some wins together. And you never know.
I think Jake, one of your preview games in the next section comes from 2 of these teams. So we'll touch on that in a sec. And you're wrapping this up in Tasmania.
Yep, last one. And Tasmania has 4 rounds to go, so it'll finish slightly after the others. And there are 4 clubs there still in the running. Devonport City are currently on top. They've got a 5-point gap on Launceston City in second. South Hobart 1 point back from there, and Hobart Zebras another 3 behind there. But because they've got those 4 games remaining, they can still technically go out in front. But and Devonport City obviously having a great season, being in the FFA Cup this year as well, and right on their way there and favourites to win the title. So and I did note also when I went through the fixtures for this weekend that Devonport are playing South Hobart this weekend. A South Hobart win there would throw this wide open, whereas a Devonport win would take that step to basically knocking South Hobart out of the race.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, Jake, that's part 2 of the show done. If you've got any questions around that, guys, let us know. Maybe we can touch on some promotion, some clubs looking to get promoted in the weeks to come, because I know we've already got a couple who have guaranteed promotion into these leagues, and there's obviously some who have been relegated, so we might touch on that in coming weeks. But now we're getting into part 3 of this show, and that's this coming weekend's games. I've got 2, I believe. Jake, you've got 2 as well, so I'll get started with mine. And I'm actually looking at some of these promotion sort of battles, and I'm going to Victoria MPL2, both of my games. So one in the East Conference, one in the West. I believe I'm starting in the West, so it's Brunswick at home to Altona Magic. With 4 games to go in the season, a win here could very well wrap up promotion for Magic, for Altona Magic. They just need Moreland Zebras, who are in second, to drop points against North Geelong Warriors, and then that's it. But they're pretty much home and hosed. Brunswick sitting 7th out of 10 teams, so as you'd expect, Altona going as heavy favourites for this. And I believe, Jake, we should have some Altona Magic and Altona Magic jersey arriving at your house pretty soon. So by the time maybe you can be starting to wear that maybe when they're promoted.
Just in time for promotion celebrations.
Yeah, like I say, guys, they are heavy favourites, 67% probability, and they are up in 50th. So Altona Magic 50th. Next year they'll be in the top flight, so that'll be exciting stuff, but not yet, not officially. Now, the other game is in the East Conference, and that's Moreland City versus Dandenong City. So it's 1 versus 2. So what do we got here? Top of the table clash. These are 2 teams that are almost guaranteed to finish in the top 2. It's not quite. I think Moreland City can be caught by another team. It might be Springvale. I can't remember off the top of my head. So it's now a race to see who will gain that automatic promotion, because the top spot is automatic promotion. The second spot then plays off against the other second spot, and then they play off the third bottom of the Victorian NPL 1. Dandenong City are 7 points ahead, so you'd have to back them. Moreland City really need to pick up all 3 points in this game just to stay in contention. But yeah, despite Dandenong City being 7 points ahead, Moreland City actually go in as slight favourites due to being at home. So they're 41% as opposed to Dandenong City at 36%. Jake, your 2 games.
All right, so the first one I've got here is in Queensland, and it's Redlands United versus Magpies Crusaders. It could be it's kind of a relegation battle in a sense for one of the clubs. It could be the nail in the coffin that sees Redlands United relegated from the Queensland NPL if they don't win this. There are, as I mentioned before, 3 games remaining in the Queensland League, but after this one, Redlands, their last 2 games are against Lions and Western Pride, who are first and second.
Jeez.
So if they're going to pick up points, this is the round to do it in.
They're gone, Jake.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here, Cody, but who knows, especially after they lost 5-1 over the weekend to their kind of main competitor to go down, which is North Queensland. So they really need to get the win here. And I'm also picking this because the probabilities are pretty close. So maybe the TPO supporters will get thrown and have to maybe go against it. So we've got Magpies as the favourites at a 44% probability of winning. Redlands still 34%. So it's they're not too far apart on the TPO rankings. And Redlands at home, so obviously the Mackay team having to fly down. And I'm also picking this one because I'm hoping to get out there. I haven't seen Magpies play live this year, and this is the one I'm going to see them. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on from that one, the other game I had was over in WA, like you mentioned, and it's Perth Soccer Club versus Inglewood United. They're the clubs that we've got predicted to finish second and third at the moment. So, as I mentioned, 5 clubs still in contention there, but we probably think these are the 2 that have the best chance of catching the Glory Youth team, if anybody's going to, and it'll come down to who wins this one. So, the loser out of this game is going to find it very tough to do anything at the top of the table. So, yeah, 3 games left, and these ones are getting all very critical.
Cool. Well, thanks for that. And guys, those 4 games, I'll be throwing them up on Instagram stories. Now, we're not sure when this show will release, probably on Thursday. So whenever it is, Wednesday night, Thursday night, go over and check. And they're up there for 24 hours and you can get voting. So thanks for voting this thus far in the season. It's been a bit of fun. We've been enjoying it. So I hope you have too. But we're still leading, I think, by 5 points at the moment. So the TPO supporters, you guys can catch up. But you need to get voting over on Instagram stories. Jake, that's a bloody show. Tomorrow night's FFA Cup. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a bit upset that we didn't get to really nail down on the feature the FFA Cup again, because we love the FFA Cup. We have done it twice on 2 weeks, 2 shows in a row, so I'm not too upset. But I totally forgot that the games are on Tuesday night this week and not Wednesday, so it threw us out. And there's no chance with our schedules that we can unfortunately get the show up by Tuesday.
Yep.
But
that's okay.
That's
but
all right.
I'll get my crystal ball out, Cody, and for those, by the time people are watching this, they'll see that I'm right. And how good was that cup set? Bentley Greens beating Phoenix. That was pretty cool.
You're talking about Hellenic beating Western Sydney Wanderers.
Yeah.
Mate, if that happens, I don't want to say it because, like Bozza, what he say, he'd shave his head. He never did. I'll shave. If Hellenic beat Western Sydney Wanderers, that would just be the biggest upset known to man. But yeah. It's not going to happen. But yeah, Bentley Greens. I tell you what, Jake, Gold Coast Knights, Newcastle Jets are a bloody good team. At least last year they were. But Gold Coast Knights are on they're a good team. They're a good team. And
they're unbeaten in 20 games. They've just wrapped up the Gold Coast Premier League.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've actually got some numbers here open, and I'll dig it out while this is Jake, recorded /live.
While you dig those up, I was doing the Facebook Live last night, and the Gold Coast Knights, whoever was in charge of their Facebook page, commented, and I said, "Are you guys in the NPL next year, in the Queensland NPL?" And they said, "Yes, we are."
There you go. So they're coming in, and I've got these numbers here for you, Cody. So 20 games unbeaten, and of those 20 games, they've actually won 18 of them. So, that's pretty insane. Obviously, it's against the Gold Coast local teams, but you know.
But
They're
I
obviously
think
in
some of
good
those
form.
teams are pretty decent clubs. There's some good players getting around down there. So
And a couple of them were the FFA Cup qualifiers against MPL clubs.
yes,
So,
yes.
anyway, you know. But Cody, I know we're trying to wrap this up and we're doing
We
a
are.
poor job of it, but Hellenic, you're laughing at them. 24 games unbeaten.
Wow.
And I'll have you know that of those 24 games, 23 of them were wins.
Wow. They've obviously got no competition up there.
Watch out, Western Sydney.
Yeah, no, not going to happen. But, you know, I'd love it to, but there's no way. There's no way. If it does, I'll come back and get this clip right now as I'm speaking from this show, and I'll do a little video or something, say how wrong I was, but it's not going to happen. Jake, anything else before we say goodnight?
Let's get out of here. I'll let you wrap it up, Cody.
All right, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Again, Instagram stories, get voting, get commenting. We're on the podcast, we're on the YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere. We appreciate your support and you guys watching and listening this far through the year, and we'll keep going right until the finals are done and dusted. So thanks again for watching round 25 of the TPO ranking show, and we'll catch you all next week.
See ya.